How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, do me a huge favor, go down and subscribe, click that notification bell. Today's video, we're going to be talking about my 2007 Lexus IS250. But before we start, in the last video, I went to go check out a Miata, and the dealership was closed, but yesterday I went in and went to go talk to them, so here's some clips from that. And there's an NA Miata right there. Remember that Miata I was talking about on Saturday? Well, today's Monday, so let's go check out and see how much they realistically want for the car, because according to the market, it's a little high. All right, so apparently they're selling it for someone, which means they're not really coming down on the price. I said, I'll give you $6,000, $6,500 max, because that's what the cars are worth. That's what they're going for. They're asking almost $9 for it. He's like, yeah, the lowest they'll come to like is 85. So I'm not going to even entertain it, really. I mean, they're like, nah, we're not coming that low. So I'm like, all right, just have a nice day. So the car's a little overpriced, but we'll find something eventually. It's not the biggest of deal because there's better deals out there, so I'm not gonna go for that car. Let's get into this car right here though. This is my 2007 Lexus IS250. I've owned it for more than 6 months at this point and put a little under 10,000 miles on it. I have probably had it for about 8 months and probably put 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it. I've had a lot of seat time in this car, and especially with the Mustang being gone, I've been driving this car around very often. So let's talk about it, the goods, the bads, kind of my overall 6-month consensus of owning this car, and things that could be better in the car and things that I'm going to change in the car, and whether I would buy it or not. I think there's no better way of kind of understanding a car than going out and driving it. So to start off, my car is the all-wheel drive variant, which means that I drove it in the snow, drove it in the winter. Of course, I live in Wisconsin. There's a lot of snow here, so the all-wheel drive just made sense to get. The rear-wheel drives are more fun, but the all-wheel drive provides a more practical experience. The rear-wheel drives probably get better gas mileage as well. But overall, this Lexus has been super comfortable to drive. The suspension is pretty soft, but also firm enough to the point where it kind of feels a little sporty. It has very nice interior features. You know, you've got the wood, which might be a little outdated at this point. The screen is a little outdated at this point, but the overall just kind of amenities, heated, cooled seats, and just all the things you would expect in a modern day car is in this car from 2007, which is really cool, especially because it's so cheap. Of course, there's got to be a reason why, you know, the cars become cheaper, and that main reason is kind of just the quality control, I guess. Some of these things, like Toyota likes to cheap out on, the dashboards crack in these cars, which is probably the biggest issue. Like, there's no mechanical things other than a little carbon buildup, which I haven't really experienced all too well. The car's always started. You know, I haven't had anything to complain on this car, knock on wood, but it's been really solid. As the car ages, a couple things go bad. I had to replace the headlights, the tires were worn out, the wheels were completely all scuffed up from the previous owner, so I just went ahead and got brand new wheels and tires. I don't have TPMS sensors, which is why the car dashboard is lighting up like a Christmas tree right now. It's a super comfortable car for daily driving. You know, it goes 80 miles per hour. If you need it to go, just cruising down the highway. The miles per gallon are probably the biggest complaint to have in this car. It doesn't get too good of MPGs. It's a 2.5 liter, you know, it's not very fast, so it's not like you're sacrificing your miles per gallon with speed, because like in my Mustang, it gets 19 miles to the gallon at the very best, unless I'm cruising strictly on the highway. I have 400 plus horsepower in that car. This thing has 205 horsepower. It has an old sloppy transmission. It's not really the best at picking up speeds and going. So it's not like you're sacrificing those MPGs for horsepower, which is probably the only thing that I could probably accept, or it being a super luxurious car that has a super solid motor. The motors aren't even that solid to be, you know, getting 22, 24, 25 miles to the gallon at the very best. I would want this car to get better miles to the gallon. I would want it to get 27, 30 miles per gallon, maybe even 35. 35 is probably a little too much, but the car doesn't get higher than 26 unless you're strictly on highway driving. And it's not like the driving I'm doing in this car is super standstill, bumper to bumper traffic. I live in a small town. The car has never seen that type of traffic while I have been driving it. So it's just not a very economical car, which is one of the major downsides. 205 horsepower isn't like it's super underpowered. It's just not a fast car. So the couple of maintenance things that I've done, I've replaced the headlights, the tires, and the wheels. Brakes are probably gonna have to come with the mileage as well. Maybe I can squeeze another 10,000 out of it. The brakes do work fine, but it's starting to get to that mileage where it's about time that the brakes are going to go. And I'm coming up on my second oil change here. I run full synthetic on this car. If you're thinking about buying an IS250 or you have an IS250, run full synthetic through your car. It'll make it run much better. From everything I've heard, they don't burn as much oil when you run full synthetic, so that's something you should definitely consider if you own it. Which is going to make it a little bit more expensive to do the oil change. It's not like hundreds of dollars, maybe like $20 max. Oil's getting expensive, but it's not like a make or break in my opinion for this car that you have to run full synthetic oil. I think you should just do that anyway if you're thinking of buying a car that you care about. That's not like a Honda Civic, you know, base model that you're just going from A to B without any cares in the world. This car is kind of like that, but it also is a little special. It's a little cool car. Also, I'm not sure if this is just a thing for my car or other people are having these issues as well. A lot of technology things don't work in my car. My memory seats don't work. My window has been annoying me. I replaced the whole panel and maybe a little bit of water got into it again, but this window sometimes doesn't roll down or sometimes doesn't roll up, and you just gotta wait for it, and eventually it decides to do what it wants to do. So a couple of just weird things that aren't working. Nothing that's gonna like make it inconvenient to drive, but things that are just a little annoying, like your window. If you roll your window down at a drive-through and it's raining outside and it doesn't roll back up, that's kind of a little bit of an issue, you know? It's a little annoying. I haven't heard of any Lexus IS250s with this issue. I've tried to look it up on YouTube and the internet a little bit, but maybe it just hasn't been documented. But some of the just weird technology things haven't been working in this car. Sometimes they decide to work, sometimes they don't. Like right now, I'm sure the window will roll down because it's on camera. It rolls back up perfectly fine. Literally earlier today, I rolled the window down a little bit and it wouldn't roll back up. And I just had to wait like 5 minutes for the window just to decide, okay, I'm gonna start working now, and you can roll it up if you want to. I will tell you one thing. The rear space is not very big. We'll pull over and I'll talk about that real quick. So take a step into the back. Automatically see there's almost no room. I didn't move my seat back or anything. This is just how I normally sit. This is the amount of space. I'm not very comfortable. I'm not like super uncomfortable, but also not the most comfortable. I can't pull my legs straight. I kind of have to have them at an angle, and there's not much room. Headroom wise, I'm fine, but the thing is, there's not very much leg room back here. It's a tight car. Like, you can't fit 5 people here very comfortably. You can fit 4 decently comfortably. You can fit 3 very comfortably. But if you're gonna be having a bunch of people all the time in your car, this is not a car that I would probably recommend. I know I've said this in multiple videos before, but the space in the rear, the horsepower, and the gas mileage are probably the 3 biggest things. So if you want a fast car, number 1, don't buy this car. This car is 208 horsepower. It might look a little sporty, but it is not meant to go fast. These cars are not meant to do that. People like to complain about the horsepower in these cars, but at the end of the day, it's not really meant to go that fast. It would have been cool since it is advertised, or seems to be advertised, as kind of a sports sedan. At the end of the day, it's not, but I wish they had some more horsepower. I think that's just a fair thing to ask. It does the speed limit needs to do. It goes on highway speeds and cruises. At the end of the day, that is all that matters. If you're looking for a fast car, this is not the car for you. Go buy yourself a Mustang. If you want something all-wheel drive, go buy yourself a Subaru with 300 horsepower. This 200 horsepower car is not going to be what you're looking for, and you're looking in the wrong direction. This is a great car. You know, it's very comfortable, has a lot of luxury features, isn't too expensive. The main thing is, it doesn't get good gas mileage, like 22, 23, and then highway, you know, 25 to 27. You're probably never getting over 30, and cruising on the streets, you're probably best getting 25. So not really the best gas mileage that a car could have, but also it's not under 20. It's reasonable. I think it has to do with the all-wheel drive and also the 2.5 being a little more high-strung than a normal motor. And if you drive a lot, gas is gonna be very expensive, and you're gonna be paying a lot more in this car than you would in another car. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor, go down and subscribe. More videos on the Lexus, and future videos are gonna be modification videos. I've done a lot of review videos on this car. I've talked about the features it has, I've talked about whether you should buy one or not, the downsides of it, and now my 6-month review. So I've done a lot of review kind of videos on this car, and I think I'm gonna add a couple things to the car, like a newer screen and update a little bit. I've done the wheels, and we're kind of gonna see what this car is made of a little bit. If you are new to the channel, I have a lot of other cars. I have a BMW, a Mustang, I have a Bronco in order, and also a Corvette that should come sometime in the next 10 years. So make sure you do subscribe, and other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.